Representative Ralston, have received the majority of the votes cast, is hereby declared and elected Speaker of the Georgia House of Representatives for the ensuing term.
You have honored me beyond measure by entrusting to me this position, and I will never forget that. I am here today to do what I can for you and for this state that we all love. One of my favorite times in the mountains where we live is in the early morning after a stormy night. You know, a night that's you've had rain and claps of thunder, flashes of lightning, maybe wind, storms all night. Then it gets quiet before dawn. And then when day begins to break, I enjoy looking to the east over the mountains in that direction to watch the sun come up. And I enjoy watching it because often it burns through the fog, brightening up the day with the promise and hope of a new day. And as we are here today, I see that sun rising over this house and burning through the fog and lifting this House of Representatives up, and I see it rising over the entire state of Georgia. And that's my vision. And may I close by saying thank you once again. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. May God bless each one of you, your family, and may God continue to richly bless the great state of Georgia. Thank you very much.
Mr. Clerk, ring the bell.
We always knew that Dad enjoyed public service. Public service was a passion and a calling for him. Knowing that that was his love, his passion, made it a whole lot easier to share him with everybody in the state.
He was larger than life in many ways, but his service to our state and the impact he made on the policies that impact the people's everyday lives in this state, for me, is what embodies what David Ralston was about.
Speaker Ralston was a heavy lifter, and he liked to take on things that were transformational. When you have issues of that nature, you must form coalitions and you must coalesce. And that's one of the arts of negotiating that he had, that he was willing to do that.
Today, it was you who gave hope to many, many Georgians. God bless you.
He was the solid force, level-headed, the grown up in the room at times.
Well, I think solid's a good word for him. I just thought so highly of him. He could say more in 5 minutes than any other person I've ever seen in politics. He was a big man with a big, strong voice, and he could swing that gavel and demand attention, and he could lead that chamber and run that chamber, the House of Representatives, with an iron fist, but he also could do it with a big old soft heart.
My sister and I joked as we were growing up that this is the same man who would bring around stray dogs that he would find on the side of the road because he noticed a stray dog on the side of the road. The man that I grew up with for 33 years was just one of the nicest and warm-hearted people that I've ever met.
I knew him as a person who deeply loved his family. He always remembered where he came from, but he also realized that people were counting on him and us all over Georgia to make it better.
Today, hope won.
Oh, he loved Georgia. He loved the state. He loved everything about Georgia. There wasn't much about this state that he didn't find just amazing.
That's pretty.
I think he would want to be remembered, and I think he was, the average person. He came up from humble beginnings, and I think that that's what drove his thought process, when he made decisions or when he ran the House, is that he always tried to look at things from the average person's perspective.
He was a big thinker. He was a person that always was willing to listen and to share his ideas and to accept others' ideas.
The thing I admired the most about him is he would not jump to conclusions. He would not rush to judgment to make a quick decision. He wanted to hear all sides of an argument. He wanted to hear from people for a situation or against an issue. He wanted to hear from Democrats, Republicans. He wanted to hear from the business community.
The speaker was available. He always had time for me, and he had time for others, but more importantly, he enjoyed the engagement that he had.
David Ralston was passionate about our state's economy and about giving all people economic opportunity. He's very proud of the fact that we're the #1 state in the country for business. And he was very passionate about making sure that we had a good business environment in this state. And he would work in a bipartisan way to make sure that that happened. And I think that'll certainly be one of his legacies.
I saw an R and a D disappear and a Georgian take its place.
We are in a period of complexity, and we have to push hard, work hard, put in the hard work, find ways to do things together collectively. He was unequivocal about that. I think by doing that, by finding common ground, by finding solutions, is a tremendous way to honor the service and the life of Speaker Ralston.
I enjoyed being in the trenches with him. He strove with his leadership to bring a level of civility and inclusiveness in the chamber, because David Ralston realized that we are all elected geographically from different areas of the state and that every area matters.
I think people are going to look back at the time that David Ralston was here. Now that we've seen some of the things that have been put into motion because of his leadership, we know now that he made the right decisions, whether it be broadband or rural development, health care, mental health, transportation.
When we had hate crime, he stepped to the plate and helped get that through the finish line. And when you start talking about things of that nature, which are transformational, which are quality of life issue, I think it paints a pretty good picture of who David Ralston was.
And we are a better state because of the work that we all did together. And I think it's up to all of us to really take the things that he did, the lessons that he taught us, and the legacy that he has left, and build on that.
He would let you know that he did the best job he could, and he left the House and the state in good hands, and that he believes in the leaders that are currently in place, and that he would want them to carry on and keep doing the state's business.
One of the things that I think he'd be proud of, that we will continue, that we will make sure that all the views in this House are honored and they're considered as we move forward with policy.
You know, I miss him, but I still feel like he's here. Things that we made better for Georgia will live on because of him.
He was about public service, not politics. He cared about his neighbor. He cared about my neighbor. I'm very proud to have served with him and for him to have been my friend.
Words cannot express my friendship and relationship with David Ralston. And I would truly miss him. As I said when he passed, a giant pine tree has fallen in the state of Georgia.
And the chair hereby declares the 2022 session of the Georgia House adjourned. Sine die!